So I'll double back to where all this is coming from, or at least where it was popularized. From a common hero of Bob Connor and myself, Pope John Paul II, who at the time he was writing this letter to Lubac, a French theologian, in 1968, was known as Karol Wojtyła. So Cardinal Karol Wojtyła, who later became Pope John Paul II, was a very good philosopher, a very influential philosopher. And so he's writing to Lubac, and he says, you know, I managed to get some free moments, and I'm dedicating them to a question that's been really bothering me and fascinating me. And it's the way in which scholarship and the world, especially atheism, is leading to what he calls the degradation and the pulverization of the uniqueness of the human person. So atheists, especially say communists, who are trying to push a communist agenda to save the world, do not see the concept of person. All they see is objects. In fact, when you say individuals, you might think you're talking about persons. Not really. You're just talking about an instantiation of the human species in individuals. Pretty much the same way you could say, this sukuma wiki I'm seeing in this garden is pretty much similar to that sukuma wiki over there, and the other, and the other, and they all belong to that species of sukuma wiki. They are just individual instances of the species sukuma wiki. But that's as far as it goes. There's nothing extra there. And if you thought of human beings the same way, then you're all an instantiation, like an actual example of the human species. But you're indistinguishable from each other, and you're actually interchangeable. So what does it matter to us whether we have this guy or that guy or that guy? They're just individuals, individual examples of the human species with nothing extra to give, nothing unique to give, totally irreplaceable. And so the word individual doesn't even come close to helping you understand what the concept of person is, because individuals are just instantiations or particular instantiations of a species, nothing else, interchangeable. This all begins, and Pope John Paul goes into it in this letter to Lubac. He talks about what's the difference between being something and being someone. And that already begins to point towards personhood. The difference between being something and being someone. For the materialist, the one with a materialist vision of the world, you are an object, you're something, indistinguishable from all the other objects in the universe except for the level of advancement you've reached in evolution. But you're just a thing. You're just another thing, an object. You're something. But when we say this is not something, this is someone, what exactly are you talking about? And it's not about the individualism. You're not saying this is a different individual from this other individual. You know, you're not saying they're separate individuals. If those separate individuals are exchangeable, then the word someone doesn't reflect what you mean when you say someone. But then if you're talking of a certain uniqueness that goes beyond instantiating the species, now you're getting into personhood. And now you have to go deeper and deeper and deeper, like, where does person come from? Who are the original persons? And this will now take you to theology, so you'll go as far back as the Trinity, where the first three persons exist. And in fact, we are told we are made in the image of God. In fact, if you go to the book of Genesis, it says, in his image he created them. And the very next verse says, male and female he created them. In his image he created them, male and female, he created them.